You're listening to the Agency Podcast, marketing strategies for professionals and business owners. Learn from two industry experts who work on the front lines of digital advertising and find out how their agency generates millions of dollars in revenue for their clients. From industry news and trends to practical advice, discover the tools to grow your business online. Here are your hosts, Ryan Leach and James Crittenden, owners of Fresh Move Media.
Okay.
It's recording, so we're live.
All right. Welcome to episode 9 of the Agency Podcast, marketing strategies for professionals and business owners.
Did you read it off of this time?
Just for a little bit.
Okay. He still has yet to get our model down, so.
Oh, man. All right.
Even though he's the one who came up with it.
Was I? I don't know about that.
We literally had a text exchange on this.
Hey, welcome to the this week's podcast. We are so fired up to have a special guest on the program. Jimmy and I go way back to his college days, I guess it would be, right out of high school.
My college dropout days.
That's right. That's right. And worked together in direct sales for years. And he then pivoted to digital and specifically LinkedIn and coaching people on success on LinkedIn. But why don't I let you speak a little bit on, your story and you and what you're about and bring us up to speed on the life of Jimmy right now.
Sure.
Sounds like a TV show.
For
Jimmy.
For people that weren't with me during the college dropout days, just for some context, I dropped out of college after 2 weeks to sell knives, which made mom and dad super proud, right? And did really well with it. Stayed with the company for 3 years, and went into financial services. And what's cool about the selling knives to your friend's mom's thing is it teaches you how to not care about hearing the word no, right? I just became, it bred me to become an animal in the marketing game and just not care, just play the numbers game, right? Be more aggressive than other people are willing to be, and you will win, right?
Yes.
And then I tried to apply that to the financial industry, and I realized that no one wanted that guy to do their finances, right? So I had to figure out a way to apply this, very aggressive guerrilla marketer mentality and figure out a more stealthy way to do it. And I was also in a really small town called Waynesboro, Virginia, that people even from an hour and a half from Richmond don't know where it is. And so there weren't a lot of people I wanted to do business with in that town, C-level executives and entrepreneurs. So hopped on LinkedIn and started spamming people to death. But I was one of the original spammers, not like these newbie spammers today. But eventually I developed a process that got my prospects, people I wanted to do business with, actually start engaging in conversations with me first before I ever sent them a message. And the people I did have to send a message to, I figured out a way to do it where it was still scalable for me, but it didn't make them feel like I was just another annoying financial advisor. Eventually, I applied this strategy to a medical startup based out of Raleigh, North Carolina. I moved down to Charlotte to help expand the company. The first year, this process, we translated pretty well. We did a couple million in revenue from it. And then we also used it to double the size of our sales team from almost 25 to almost 50 people on the sales floor. Started teaching it to other people in the company, easily created an extra 8 figures of revenue for that company the next year. People started asking questions like, hey, what is your strategy? What is it that you guys are doing on LinkedIn that's working? And started teaching people both one-on-one and speaking at places, talking about it. And people just kept telling me hey, this is way better than what we just paid someone else a lot of money to teach us 3 months ago. And so I built the confidence to eventually, say I was a partner in that medical company. Eventually I left all my equity on the table, left to start teaching people, getting paid to teach people, had a course, speaking on stages, doing, seminars for larger companies and stuff. And now, I was just telling, James and Ryan here that, June of last year, it was just me. I was a solo entrepreneur. And then, now we have about 15 people on board, and we're on pace to have over 100 people in our company by June of next year. And so we're just having a lot of fun, and got cool clients too that I'm sure James and Ryan will want to talk about.
Awesome.
It's a lot different
the
from
life of Jimmy.
When I had you on my last podcast. I had
Oh my gosh.
2016 Entrepreneurial Grind podcast with Sam and Shane and myself.
I took that episode from my bedroom. I was like laying on my mattress, full transparency. I like had my phone in my hand and I was just like talking to you guys like it was a phone call.
That's funny. That's funny. And
Entirely different type of setup and more low key startup type as far as the podcast goes. So,
yeah.
But
hey, it's 2020. Most people are taking calls now from their bedrooms, so that's like a regular thing nowadays.
he was just ahead of the curve.
That's right.
Well, hey, we're excited to ask you, pick your brain a little bit about a few different areas. When we think about LinkedIn, and I know that you can shed some light when it comes to especially the recruiting perspective, because there's a ton of opportunity there. But I mean, if you just think about LinkedIn as a platform in general, right? Before Microsoft decided to acquire it, there was a period of a few years there where it was kind of like the whole platform was up in the air. There's a question mark of like, what's the future going to be of LinkedIn? Is it just going to turn into desperate college grads trying to find jobs, or is it going to be a place that people actually do business?
You had LinkedIn just to have LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Right.
As it was your resume, your online resume.
Yeah.
Versus just what it is today.
And
So-
you don't want it. They didn't want it to turn into Google. What was the
Google Plus?
Yeah, Google Plus, right?
Yeah.
Where it's just people have pages and nothing happens on the
Yeah.
platform.
No one visits it. Yeah.
Yeah. So how have you seen LinkedIn change in recent years, and where do you think the future is of it over the next couple of years? I know it's a pretty big question, but
Yeah. It's funny. I was fortunate that I started being really active on LinkedIn before Microsoft acquired it. And so there was a time when I would send like thousands, not just like 1,000, but like thousands of connection requests in a day. And like there was nothing there to stop me.
yeah.
So I was just going for it. And that's part of how like now I have like 29,000 connections and we're like taking people off because they're about to cut me off at 30,000.
What? Is that the cap
connections
now?
and everything.
Or is
What's
it just
that?
for you? Is that the cap as far as connections you can have on LinkedIn? Is 30,000?
30,000 is the number.
Like
which
Facebook's
says a lot.
5,000.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
Facebook is 5,000. So that brings up a point too, and I'll get back on topic. But it's implied that you are going to connect with people that you don't know, but you would like to know, because you have 30,000 connections. Right?
Sure. Yeah.
So so obviously it was like the wild west before, and now it's become much run by obviously one of the biggest companies in the world. So so there's some of that, and then as far as like the future goes, I was talking to someone about this just yesterday. LinkedIn communities are horrible. Like they just suck so
Yeah.
bad. Like, and Facebook has figured that out. Obviously they paid for a Super Bowl commercial. Like that is their focus.
Yep.
And LinkedIn's traditionally been very traditional, very conservative with making decisions on things like that. But that is something that will probably come to LinkedIn at some point, where they're going to probably make a very strategic hire of someone that like knows what they're doing when it comes to turning the platform into a platform that's much more addicting, right? Like there's people that are counselors to help people with their addiction to Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, whatever, right?
Yeah.
But no one's counseling you on your addiction to LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So,
That's a fair point. That's a fair
Now,
point.
speaking of the community aspect, LinkedIn, I don't know if they're still doing it now, but was it last year? Yeah, it was last year. LinkedIn Local, that those local events. They had one here in Richmond that was fairly good, except I think they could have had some better speakers. There was like one.
They should have had you speak is what they should have.
They had all influencers on.
Yeah.
It's like, come on. But it was a great premise. I just think they should have doubled down on it.
Well, so that's what's interesting, right? As we're kind of in like the era of COVID and pandemic, I think it's interesting to see how they can get more virtual networking happening, right? And that's where I think you're right. They're missing it, because Facebook groups and Facebook communities are just so much more well developed over the last 5-6 years. I mean, it's not even like close. And And there's definitely opportunity there on LinkedIn.
And I do have a question, and maybe we can explore this later. But one thing I have noticed on LinkedIn is that it's almost become more like a chamber of commerce type of attitude, where like if you go to a chamber of commerce meeting, everyone's just there to sell to you. They have no intention of networking with you or to support your business. So how can one, this is a great question, how can one stand out and not look like that cheesy salesperson at that chamber of commerce meeting, and don't want to interact with that? I mean, pretty much almost every business network meeting is like that, other than like BNI.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you can speak to that, Jimmy, because I know that's not.
For sure. I mean, it might help to maybe ask one or say one thing to the person, or show up at some other place besides like the very first time you talk to them is when you're pitching to them. Like that might help a little bit, right?
Yep.
And so maybe making it like a 2-step process. And I have like a 4-step process, and usually step 4 is, I call it stand outreach. So there's outreach, and then there's outreach that stands out. So like maybe instead of typing something to the other person, you use the audio message feature that is on the app. Or maybe you do a video. Like if for the people that can actually watch this podcast, one of the things we do is like, we have these like little whiteboard cards, and then we'd say like, hey Kevin, so that in the first like the picture of the video, they can see that video is obviously for them. And
so the thumbnail is customized to them. That's smart. I like that. I like that. Yeah.
So, and like what's so cool is that when we do outreach like that, we actually we get a lot of compliments. Like even when someone says no, they're like, dude, that was so awesome. I don't think it was a good fit, but like that was the first ever audio message I ever received. Right. And they just compliment us, versus other people, like people will say like the worst things, like go kill yourself. And like the worst things you can think of when you're prospecting on LinkedIn sometimes, because they forget that they're talking to a human being.
Yeah.
And that brings up another point too, is like everyone, like if you look up Google, like LinkedIn 101, or what maybe the influencers are going to tell you to do at the LinkedIn local events, is they're all going to tell you like, make sure you have a professional headshot, make sure that your summary, like this and that. It's all like the same game that everyone else is playing. Mm-hmm. And everyone's running in that direction to look exactly like everyone else, so that you look like your competitors, right? But if you look at my clients, they're all swimming in the opposite direction. Their about section is not a brag sheet of all the things that they've accomplished, because no one cares, right? It's usually more of a storytelling format, right? It's more of make sure that your profile gets people to actually see you as a human being versus just a vendor, right? So when you do reach out to people, they treat you like a human being versus treating you like a low-life vendor, right? Yep. So there's a lot of things I can speak to regarding that, because everyone else is just going for the more corporate feel. Like even when you send someone a message, don't worry so much about the formatting of the message. Don't say, hey Jimmy, comma, double enter, and then like type your message and then double enter your name and then your contact information.
Like, because you're not writing a memo, right? You're writing a message to someone, right? And there's a fundamental difference. Yeah.
Spelling errors, right? Yeah. There's LinkedIn experts who I actually like, and they'll say sometimes I intentionally spell a word wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Shows you're a person. I like what you have to say about the profile too, right? Is making it more almost like conversational in tone, right? Versus just straight up a list of accomplishments. This is, or humble bragging or whatever it might be about who you are.
That's almost all of LinkedIn is all straight humble bragging.
Yeah. So that's interesting. I like that. What other advice do you have for, specifically, let's talk like, when I think about our audience, I'm thinking about a small business owner, right? And typically they are, many of them are B2C. So the question might be, should they even get involved in LinkedIn? Is there a place for them on that platform? And then the second is, if they are B2B, which a number of them are as well, what are some ways that they can connect with people and not sound like everyone else?
Quick question to throw it back at you guys. Most people that are listening right now, are they people who have an agency themselves, or are they like a restaurant owner type of
restaurant owner?
Who would you say is?
Yeah, it would be closer to the fact that they either have one internal marketing person and or have no internal marketing person, right? And they're thinking, okay, I need to start getting involved more on these platforms.
That's cool. Well, let's go to the B2C route then. So what's cool about LinkedIn, and I don't usually, most of my clients, their average transaction when we generate a lead for them is worth like 6 or 7 figures. So, so it's like a B2B play usually. But I do have clients like chiropractors and stuff like that who are figuring out a way to use LinkedIn for that. And so in that case, there's a couple of different directions you can go. But one of them is just to keep in mind that the average LinkedIn profile is worth, they usually make about $80,000 a year versus other platforms. It's usually below $40,000 a year per
much higher
per profile. And so, so when you're fishing on LinkedIn automatically right then and there, like your chances are like the buying capacity is double, right? And then the other thing is the targeting that you can do on LinkedIn is amazing. Like if you want to make it your reality, you can make sure that you only talk to people who are CEOs of companies with no less than 1,000, 5,000, or 10,000 plus employees. And you can do that just by paying $80 a month for Sales Navigator and make sure you're only targeting people that specific job title, that specific company size. So again, if you own a restaurant, for example, I would make sure that you're targeting some of those people, whoever makes the decisions at those size companies on doing more like corporate deals. I always tell
catering
people, like,
and events. Yep.
Absolutely. Like, what's the list of things that you sell? And the thing, like, to the left are the things that cost the least, and to the right are the things that cost the most. And go to the upper quartile of the right-hand side and sell those things on LinkedIn, because people's buying capacity is just way more, right? If you're targeting CEOs of companies with over 10,000 employees, like they're making 8-figure decisions on a regular basis, right? So always think to yourself, like, how can I make larger transactions leveraging LinkedIn? And that's one route I would go. The other route I can go is, if you are targeting consumers still, is using some sort of lead magnet to either to build some type of community, funnel people to, I used to do this actually. I would take people from LinkedIn and funnel them to Facebook groups, because again, people are addicted to Facebook. They're easy to find, the good people on LinkedIn, and then better to keep them engaged on Facebook. So I would funnel them to my Facebook group, and then just like nurture that community and make offers to that community, and so on and so forth. And you can do that in the B2C space as well.
Yeah, I like that cross-platform approach. I mean, because you think about it, everybody who has a LinkedIn profile also has a Facebook profile, right?
Well, there are groups on LinkedIn, but I've never stayed up top with any of those.
Yeah.
But I'm in plenty of Facebook groups I'm still interactive with. So
definitely. Well, and you're right when it comes to the targeting, right? Audience targeting and their ability to be targeted with ads to exactly who you want to speak to, right? The operations guy at a specific size company, even to the even with being able to funnel in I mean, a couple of our B2B clients, it's like, hey, give us the top 100 companies that you're prospecting right now, and we're able to make a custom audience just for those people and specific people within those people, so or within those organizations. So I mean, that's something you can't get on Facebook, but I do like the idea of leveraging the strengths of both the platforms and finding what works to reach who you want.
Yeah, my chiropractor clients, that's what they did, is they said, well, how can we sell benefits essentially to some degree, right? Like a more holistic approach to benefits. And so they targeted people that, HR type people at larger size companies who make decisions on things like that, who, and they even looked at companies who might be more open-minded to a more alternative approach. There are a lot of, like in North Carolina, there's like the Fast 50, right? Like, who are the fastest growing companies, but they also have like the healthiest companies in Charlotte. And I know they do that in Raleigh. I'm sure they do that in Richmond. And like, look at that list of companies and find a way in there, right? Yeah. And so there's a lot of things you can do.
Yeah, that's great. Let's see. Well, I think the other thing to think about is these, and I do want to kind of pick your brain a little bit on this, these emerging platforms and others. Do you have any other thing on LinkedIn that you wanted to?
I mean, I can get down to the boring basics of how to make your LinkedIn profile better, but that should just be
Yeah.
You should just do that anyways.
Yeah, have a headshot, right? Or have a photo.
Does it make sense
ask
to
do you know
ask
how
people?
many business owners that we talk to that have no picture? Like they just don't have one.
Does it make sense? I'll ask this. Does it make sense to ask people for endorsements still? It's not as prevalent as it was, say, like 5 years ago, where like everyone who was on LinkedIn made an effort to get like their skills up. But nowadays, it seems like it's almost impossible to get someone to rate your skill or endorse you for certain skills on your LinkedIn profile, or ask for endorsements. Is that a thing that someone should care about now from a LinkedIn standpoint?
Well, one of the ways that LinkedIn uses the endorsement tool, and there's a big difference. There's endorsements and there's recommendations, right?
Right.
People will type out recommendations, like it's like leaving a review. And then endorsements are like, you want to say that you're good at public speaking, and like you can have 127 people say that, yep, click the button and they endorse you for that, right? So LinkedIn uses that as a SEO tool. So let's say that you want to be the top speaker on leadership, and you have 89 people that have endorsed you for leadership, but Gary Vee has 890 people that have endorsed him for leadership, and someone's searching leadership, Gary Vee is going to show up ahead of you because he has more endorsements. You know, that's one of the things that goes into it, right? So that's how LinkedIn likes to use the endorsements, and that's why I think that they are probably going to stick around. Some people are questioning whether they're going to stay, because it doesn't mean that like, wow, I had a great customer experience interaction with Ryan, and so now I'm going to endorse him for customer experience. You go to my profile, it's 99 plus on most of the skills, and I don't know most of those people, right? It's just like, so when I endorse someone and they ask me, hey, like, thanks, but like, why'd you do that? Which happens like 1 in 1,000 times. I just tell them like, hey, John, actually that just helps you show up in front of your competitors on the skills that you have listed. So figured I'd just, give you a little
help you out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Speaking of Gary Vee, I sent Gary Vee a connection on LinkedIn years ago, like in like 2014 or 2015. I can only imagine now. It's like, I don't think, can you even send someone who's like that on LinkedIn a connection request still?
Yeah, but the problem is he's probably maxed out. He has over 30,000, and so
got right in there.
Yeah,
he'd have to make some major room.
that's right.
Yeah.
So, Ryan's adding me. I got to make room for him. Is that...
No, I'm already. We have 8 common connections.
Oh,
Jimmy
there
Coleman
we go.
is on
All right,
there.
there you go.
And then some of these other people that okay, I kind of remember some of these people.
So that's interesting, because a majority of the clients that we're working with are working more on like a corporate level with running ads, on LinkedIn for their particular business. So that's kind of news to me when it comes to the personality end of things, right? So if you're building a speaking brand or you're building a individual brand all through your profile, the importance of endorsements as essentially, illuminating LinkedIn search, right? And how you show up on search. So,
Gary Vee has endorsements of football of 99 plus on his profile.
That's right, because he really wants to own the Jets, man.
Yeah,
That's it.
I don't know if he's good at football, but that's funny. Sorry.
That's great. Very cool. Very cool. So, what's your thoughts on some of these emerging platforms that are coming out? Have you or any of your clients talked about Nextdoor, or have you had any kind of?
Oh my gosh!
I mean, like
just came up today, the Nextdoor thing, and I know that it's been around. I've been aware of it for at least a couple years.
Yeah.
But that's not most of my clients, by the way. Like I don't have like a lot of like plumbing and lawn care clients and stuff. But I would be all over it if that was the case. Like, and I looked at, there's a list of companies who had like the largest spikes in website visits, and that was one of the top platforms. TikTok too, actually.
Yeah.
But I would totally be all over it. But do I know much about Nextdoor? No, but like I don't know if we need to preach or not, like the advantage that you have when you are an early adopter to these platforms.
Definitely.
Right?
Yeah.
I was not like, I was real heavy on LinkedIn 5 years ago. I had a membership for about 8 years. And I reaped a lot of rewards because of that, but that's still not even early adopter. Like they're around before 2010.
Yeah.
But yeah, you reap so much rewards from dominating those platforms early on.
Well, and what's interesting about Nextdoor, right, is that it's this, it's almost like Facebook circa 2008, 2009, where it's like there's just not a lot of like, it's a much more like niche, smaller communities, right? Because it's specific neighborhoods and
it's verified.
Yes.
People.
Yeah. So there's not this slam of like, bots and fake accounts and all kinds of things that are, skewing all the numbers. Also, like you're talking about, early adopters get the advantage of less regulation on whatever platform, right? So it's like you can kind of just do what you want to do.
Like you did.
Yeah. So
send thousands of connections a day.
Like another platform I like a lot is Meetup. Actually, for the TikTok event, we use LinkedIn a lot. We also used Meetup quite a bit too, like that was huge for us. And
I mean, that's how we met. How we found that one event we went to where we met the VP of product of Netflix.
Yeah,
I found it on Meetup.
Wow.
Yeah, it was interesting. So there was an event that was hosted by Capital One here. It was a free event. And it's former VP of product at Netflix. He worked there from like 2000 something to 2014 or 2015. And he came and spoke, and they pretty much spoke to like what made Netflix what it is today and all the decisions they made, what set them apart between them and Blockbuster and all that cool stuff.
Key turning points.
Yeah,
it was great.
It was a phenomenal talk.
Yeah.
But I found it on Meetup. And it was free.
Yeah.
So
he started off his message. He said, "How many of you use our platform?" Everybody raised their hand, right? How many of you pay for our platform? And like half the hands go down. So
he left Netflix to start a company called Chegg. And Chegg is doing just fine.
Yep.
That's the college textbook rental company, and he made millions and millions of dollars doing that. So.
I think that there's going to be like an overcorrection, right? Like so much is going to digital, and there's always a correction, right? So when you have things like Nextdoor and Meetup that encourage some human interaction, because people are going to want that, then those platforms are well poised, And I actually have a friend who he's like, there's not any experts on Meetup right now, by the way, right? Like. But he has a course on how to crush it. Like he built a 7-figure business using Meetup. He had free meetups and still somehow built a 7-figure business in 18 months using Meetup.
Wow.
So
he's the only one talking about this, probably.
He's the only one talking about it. He has the course and everything, but like you can't find anyone else. So when I built my LinkedIn course, I was looking at like because one of the strategies is to target people on LinkedIn and then send them to a place where you can nurture them in a community. Facebook groups being one of them, had someone that was the expert on that. And then Meetup was another one of them. And he was the only guy you could find to talk to about that.
Wow. Yeah. Wow.
We need to start doing some of that stuff.
What's interesting, TikTok, I'm just kind of curious on what your thoughts are overall, because I mean, obviously as a platform, it skews so young that for most of our clients it's really not relevant right now. There's just not any reason for our custom home builder, for example, who's targeting people who are between 45 and 55. But I'm curious just overall your thoughts on TikTok as a platform and how you see a platform like that monetizing and being able to survive or grow. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, you probably saw that they just like broke records on the amount of like data they have on young people.
Oh, it's insane.
And here's because the conversation of like TikTok is like a newer Vine and stuff that comes up, and I'm not in any place here to defend TikTok. I'm not much of a user. I binged one time, and I just downloaded it because I was going to their headquarters and didn't want to be like called out. Like, hey everybody, let's get on the app and like, look at this thing and like, let me download it first. Right?
Never used it before.
So that's why I downloaded it to begin with. But a key difference is that Vine lost out because its influencers were having a really hard time monetizing it, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't built out to be monetized, where TikTok, stars are being born. And so when you give power to the influencers.
Is TikTok paying the influencers?
Not to my knowledge. I don't have inside knowledge of that, but
because all they did is with Vine is when they realized they gained the audience, they just took, because it's creating video content, they simply migrated it to YouTube, and that's where all these big YouTubers, a lot of them, at least the ones who are prevalent today, came from Vine.
Yeah,
Logan Paul, for example, it came from Vine, and a ton of other people. So it's because that's where they made the money.
Yeah.
So
TikTok doesn't want their influencers leaving, certainly. So
yeah, and they're making big boy moves. Like they're was it the CEO that they just hired? Was top exec at Disney and stuff. Like they're taking action where they're looking to be built to last. And there's also conspiracies, right? And
that they're owned by a Chinese company.
Yeah,
right.
It's like where's all that data going? Right.
And the government pretty much banned all pretty much anyone in the military from using TikTok.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well, and the reality is it's still like it's an infant, right, as a platform. I mean, it's so young, but I guess nowadays these platforms mature so quickly. They're going to have to deal with the same problems that Facebook deals with, but quicker, right? Because Facebook, it took like 15 years for there to actually be serious, look at regulating Facebook.
Facebook is in the profit, though. They're in the green.
Oh, yeah. From a monetizing standpoint, they had that figured out a long time ago. Yeah.
And TikTok is, I believe, and someone could double check me on this. I believe they are like the fastest growing company in the world right now. Like they, I don't think any app has had this fast of growth. Like the fact that they were probably the fastest growing social media platform before COVID, right? Mm-hmm. And then COVID happens, and it's just like
it's exploded.
The most beautiful thing. It is like perfect.
Yeah.
Again, maybe feeding to the conspiracy a little bit, but the whole thing started in China. But
it is owned by a Chinese company. They have 800 million active users worldwide.
Oh my gosh.
800 million. So LinkedIn has 600.
Yeah, that's incredible. That is incredible.
How many downloads does TikTok have? Has been downloaded over 1.5 billion times on the App Store and Google Play. But see, what's the average income of TikTok user versus a LinkedIn user?
Oh, yeah.
So
they don't have income.
They don't have income. They're all a bunch of kids.
13-year-old's going to get mommy to buy whatever. Though.
That is true. Oh, that's true. There's very much a place for certain businesses there.
41% of TikTok users are aged between 16 and 24.
Yeah.
So
well, and the question also becomes, does it age up as a platform?
Holy,
right? Does it eventually move up the demographic?
So here's where TikTok, it is a Chinese company, but 466 million of their users are from India. China has 173 million, and then USA is 123 million.
Wow.
Out of the 800 million, the majority of that is from India.
Interesting.
Which is interesting.
Yeah.
I did not expect to see that. So.
Well, and the key thing about TikTok too is there's a book called Atomic Habits you guys might be familiar with, and they talk about how we've gotten too good at pushing our own buttons, right? We talked about certain platforms being more addictive, more addicting than others. And I would say TikTok is a platform where they just like did not hold back at all.
Yeah. There was no self-policing happening of like, let's make it a little bit less addictive.
It is crack.
Yeah.
And so like people are really like spending a lot of time on it, and they do a really good job of like giving you the ability to create like really creative content. They gave a lot of power to the user to create some really cool content that can't be created other places. I'm seeing a lot of videos that I'm seeing now have TikTok in the bottom right hand corner because
on different platforms.
Made on TikTok.
Yep. That's so true. Oh man.
Sorry, Ryan. I know you kind of hate TikTok. I've seen some of their content. So
it's all I see is just another version of Vine. Unless they can figure out how to monetize, then I can see the benefits behind it. But it's just I see it. Because I got on Vine when it like a week or so after it came out. And I thought, oh, this is a cool app. And I saw it grow and grow and grow. I never utilized it at all. I just used it to watch some of these hilarious videos. The same thing with Instagram. I got on Instagram like 2 weeks after it came out in the App Store. Because I'm the first in Ryan Leach. I have my name on Instagram. And there's thousands of other people named Ryan Leach, but they have some other at Ryan-2 whatever.
Yeah.
So Like Twitter, I don't see Twitter lasting another 5 years, in my opinion. From the standpoint, I mean, the only reason why it's alive is because of politics and sports.
Sports news and politics.
That's it.
Yeah.
But are the advertisers still spending money there?
Yeah.
And their stock prices tumbled. And then the same thing with Snapchat. And the Snapchat can figure out a way to get out of the money pit that they're in. I don't see that lasting longer either.
Yeah.
That's just can these companies figure out how to monetize
so
without scaring their user base?
That's what's interesting to me, and maybe Jimmy, you could shed some light on this. But I mean, some of it also is, does the platform eventually age up, right? Does it move up the demographic ladder a little bit, from the sense that, like, you think about Facebook, it's exactly what Facebook did. It aged up,
Absolutely.
right? And you got older people on Facebook, and then the same thing has happened with Instagram, right? Instagram has aged up, right? You have older millennials, and you have Gen Xers now getting on the platform. So it's just interesting to see, is that going to happen with TikTok? And if it does, then it's truly going to have value to a lot of different businesses beyond just this small subset of people who are targeting 13 to 18-year-olds, right, for, whatever teenage product, right, that they're selling. So
I mean, I can see them making the money from – oh, sorry to cut you off. Go ahead.
I was going to say, that is the name of the game, and none of us know whether they'll be able to do it. Facebook, as you just mentioned, was college students, and now it's like where people's parents are. And stuff,
yeah,
and it's not cool because of that, right?
Yeah.
But I still use it. For me, it's LinkedIn and Facebook are the two platforms I use the most, for sure. But
agreed.
That is the name of the game. Amazon did the same thing. Apple did the same thing. You find a micro niche, and then you saturate it, and then you go less micro, and you saturate, and then you just world domination. Everyone wants to be Facebook if they can, or Apple if they can.
It's the same thing with Tesla.
Now
Tesla.
there's no niche, right?
Right.
But yeah, if they can climb there, I have no idea.
Well, and what's interesting about it, right, is, I mean, Snapchat has to be losing active users daily. I mean, I don't know what their counts are. I would actually be interested to see if their daily usage has gone down since TikTok has gone up, right? I mean, I know it's not a zero-sum game, but I mean, the reality is that if people are no longer addicted to one platform, they're addicted to another one.
They
right?
lost $241 million on $560 million in revenue. That's up 44%.
Well, I don't think they've ever made money. I don't think they've ever.
Yeah, but you can only last so long.
Yeah. IPO, it only lasts so long.
But as we were talking about, like Apple and but like as Tesla, like when Tesla first came out, the first Tesla Roadster was a super luxury sports car, and because they were targeting the celebrities, like Leonardo DiCaprio before drove like the Prius because he wanted to save the environment.
Yeah.
But the second Tesla came out with that $250,000 Roadster, he said, "All right, this piece of shit Prius can go and get this expensive Roadster." Yeah. But there were only like 2 charging stations on the West Coast at the time, and all which are in California, and a lot of them caught on fire too. But but you get your user base that way, and you sell to that, then you're able to, as mass production comes and the money flows, and you can start making Teslas for $30,000.
Yep.
But I don't know if you know about this with Tesla. Tesla's gonna be coming out with a monthly subscription for the self-driving feature. So as opposed to paying $7,000 up front, you can now pay for a lifetime to have self-driving instead.
They have everything is going to a subscription model. Everything. We're all gonna have like 1 million subscriptions.
And Tesla stock shot over $1,000 today because Elon Musk announced more stats and timing with the semi trucks. Remember they did an announcement like last year, but now they're making a huge push for that now. So
interesting.
Yeah, I really wish I kept that stock, man. I had like 10 shares in Tesla, like in end of 2018. It was worth like maybe $200 a share.
It's over 1,000.
Right? I'm really pissed at myself right now for selling it.
All right. Well, I think we'll transition here to our meme segment. And you're going to get the opportunity to vote on which of our memes you like more.
Yeah. So I don't know if you've seen in one of our episodes, we do a meme review to obviously to keep up with the times. So James submits a meme and I submit a meme, and we rate each other on a scale of 1 to 10 on the effectiveness of that meme. Doesn't have to be related to this topic. It's just a meme in general? Does it communicate well? Like one time James sent me, he showed a tweet. It was a screenshot of a tweet.
Yeah, but
that's not a meme.
It was good.
It was hilarious. It wasn't
funny.
a meme. So he has a meme. I have one. We cue the music. You just simply read what you see, explain it, and then let me know when you're ready for the score, and then I'll stop the music, and then you give it on a scale of 1 to 10. You can give it a 7.5, 7.6. This is literally modeled after Dave Portnoy's from Barstool Sports. One Bite Pizza Reviews. I don't know if you've seen those, but those are like the greatest things on the planet.
Yes.
So, One Bite, everyone knows.
Yeah,
rules.
Yep, One Bite, everyone
I
knows
get
the rules.
addicted to those. Yeah.
Easy to binge those, definitely.
All right.
All right, so let's see here. Okay, I'm going to share the screen. Interesting to see what happens here. This one, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. There we go.
I'm getting nervous.
All right, here we go. So, share. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes. Got carded at liquor store. My Blockbuster card accidentally fell out. The cashier left. So, never mind. And what's the is it like how funny is this, or like
Yeah, just in general, from a scale of 1 to 10, it could be funny. Do you see
Creative,
a lot of
funny.
creative? Is it too generic? It could be many things. What?
Like this is the kind of meme that no one on TikTok is getting. No
Correct.
one's understanding
Yeah,
on TikTok.
the age demographic is not there. So I'm going to cue the music, and
okay, guys. So
And by the way, make sure it's not a rookie score. It can't be an even number. It's
Yeah.
got to be like a 7.1 or, a 7.8.
7.62.
I appreciate that it's an inside joke, right? And that's one of the beauties of memes is like I had no idea that other people are experiencing that same thing too.
Yes.
And that's part of what makes it like so funny. And so that's going to give us like, at least 3 extra points. 3.2 extra points probably.
3.2.
And I'm gonna give this
wait,
solid.
There it is.
All right. What's your
I'm
score?
gonna give this a solid 6.9.
6.9. All right. Okay. I like it. All right. Here's number 2. So this is the next one. This kind of lines up with LinkedIn a little bit, right? LinkedIn profiles.
Yeah, you gotta know your audience.
Oh, shut up.
All right. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
All right. So when you have no life experiences or achievements, right? And it's got the graphic says Alex, former child.
Is this a legit screen grab of like a show or something?
Yeah. I think this is other.
I mean, aren't we all former child?
Yes.
Alex, I'll say this first. Alex looks like he's 40. He does not look like he's 25
That's
years old.
right.
So that's throwing me off a little bit. This one actually like genuinely made me laugh. Like I thought it was very funny. And I'm also trying to think to myself, why would they seriously, like besides this joke, why would they put former child on the show?
It's like you have nothing between former child and age 25 to say. Nothing. You've done zero in the last 20 years.
You've had a silver spoon in your mouth your entire life.
Oh man, yeah, this one just blows me away. That it's like it's a real thing, and so like it's actually funny without trying to force a laugh.
All right.
It's LOL funny. That's the key difference here.
LOL.
Right?
LOL.
It's the Blockbuster thing, and maybe that's just the because I'm 26.
Have you ever
That's
been
like,
to a
oh, that's
Blockbuster?
funny.
Have you been to a Blockbuster?
Yeah, I've been to a Blockbuster.
Okay,
But,
okay.
But I didn't have a card. That was still when Mom was buying the block.
There it is.
She had the card. So that's the key difference here. So one is LOL funny, and the other one is like you appreciate the humor funny. So I'm gonna give this guy. You ready?
Yeah.
8.7.
Oh, wow. I love it. That's a great score.
To the 40-year-old former child.
That is the most in depth we've had ever someone go rate our meme.
Evaluate the meme.
Yeah, like
I love
go
it.
in deep.
If I overdid it or underdid it, honestly.
No, it was perfect.
It's
fucking
exactly
perfect.
what we needed.
There's a little bit of fluff in there.
This entire segment is ridiculous. That's the
Oh man. Well, hey, we really appreciate and respect your time, and thank you so much for coming on, Jimmy, and sharing your perspective on all things social right now. So really great stuff. Anything to add?
no. This will be live next week, so I'll be sure to tag you in it. So just be sure to share it all over LinkedIn and Facebook and
We'll also
TikTok.
there you go. Right. We will make sure that you guys have access to see Jimmy's profile and see what he's up to these days. And I'm sure that there are probably some businesses listening that could benefit from what you guys do. So really cool stuff there. Thanks for your time. We appreciate it.
You bet. Thank you.
that's a wrap.
Have a good one.
Thanks for tuning in. Like what you're hearing? Then make sure to subscribe on iTunes and YouTube. Stay tuned to next week's episode from the Agency Podcast.